Good morning. We'll wait for some folks to get in here before I get too involved in this story. We'll wait for this YouTube algorithm. How is everybody today? This stream coming live to you from Denver, Colorado. Hopefully. Got a couple folks in here. Lucky, hey, how you been? Glenwood. Gee, good morning. Morning. Hey, for those of you that follow my channel, a lot of you are going to understand. For those of you that don't follow this channel, stick around for the story and perhaps you can help. Irish Rover. We got a mod in the house. Jerry, how are you? Yes, please hit the thumbs up, y'all. For those of you that are new to this channel and to this stream, my name is Regan and I am my own executive director of my own nonprofit, a registered 501c3 in full compliance with the state of Colorado and the Internal Revenue Service of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. Welcome to my stream. We're going to talk about Phil today. You guys, I am in a terrible, terrible situation once again. Thank you, government, per usual, and I need your help. And this is a call to action because many of you who are supporters to this channel, you immediately support the nonprofit. Every single penny from this YouTube channel goes directly into an account that has full accounting for this 501c3 that makes sure money goes to the homeless and where it needs to go. So we are in a very bad situation today with Phil. PJ, thank you. Hopefully you can help as well. For starters, if any of my mods can post that link tree in the chat. These are the ways you can electronically donate to the nonprofit. If you choose to donate by mail, the mailing address is 9878 West Bellevue, Belleview Avenue, number 103, Denver, Colorado, 80123. And that's Attention to Helping Hands for Dignity Coalition. That's the way to donate by check through mail. Other electronic transfers are done by Venmo and Cash App. So we have had Phil in a motel for 3 weeks. This has cost over $1,500, and today is checkout day again. And Phil's situation is this. Phil is elderly. Of the elderly population of homelessness on the streets of Denver, he has spent chronic years of homelessness on the streets of Denver. Phil has been talked about numerous times on my channel, willingly. Phil understands where these donor dollars come from to help him out. Phil has been put in motel numerous times by me, and one of the issues that I have as an advocate for not partnering with government systems is that I must connect these folks to caseworkers who are being paid with taxpayer dollars and other nonprofit dollars to support getting these people into more permanent housing. Phil has presented numerous times to the city and county of Denver. He has been a resident here for at least 15 years on these streets of Denver. Under the previous mayor administration, near Mike Hancock, during COVID, there was, seek and destroy missions of the homeless. Those have since intensified since the new mayoral administration took over with Mike Johnston. But Mike Johnston sells this real feel-good plan here in Denver that he's housing, I guess it's 1,500 now this year. Last year it was 1,000, and then it was 1,200, and all these numbers keep getting jumbled around and thrown out there, and hundreds of millions of dollars keep flowing through. And then on top of that, we throw in the migrant situation, where the migrants could come to Denver as a self-professed sanctuary city and get all kinds of city resources, including shelter, which they're still getting shelter. If you are sought after for qualifying for shelter per the parameters of the city and county of Denver, you can get shelter as an immigrant. Phil, on the other hand, cannot. And I'm kind of sick of this. And I'm going to try really hard not to cuss in this stream, because people don't like the F word. But you know what? F government. Is that fair to say? So I do expect government to be held accountable to those dollars that they collect and say that they're spending. So Mayor Johnston's staff for homelessness resolution is this person. His name is Cole Chandler. And Cole organizes encampment resolutions where certain homeless folks are told that they will get temporary shelter, but most recently they've been told, and some of them have received direct street to lease programs where they can walk off the street and into housing with no supportive services, mind you, and are expected to figure it out. So yeah, that's all very interesting. But all of this programming just doesn't seem to apply to Phil. You can be 25 years old and be put on a priority list if you go set up an encampment with a bunch of people and just wait it out and hope that the cops don't come sweep you, or that Brian O'Neill from DPD District 3 shows up with a paddy wagon and starts doing warrant checks for the mayor's office, because the mayor's office wants to eliminate the real bad guys out of the encampments, because the Denver Police Department apparently doesn't have the intelligence to go in and extract the real bad guys from encampments without doing a full-on paddy wagon sweep at 8 o'clock in the morning, where he goes out there and says, oh, you sit down, you're detained, you can't leave, you sit down. And then he loads up the paddy wagon, and then everybody else gets housing except Phil, because Phil doesn't go in encampments, because Phil's not safe in encampments, because Phil is too old and vulnerable to be in those situations, because Phil doesn't want to go to jail, because Phil has harmed no one in his existence out here on the streets. So Phil gets chased around by the street enforcement team, which is a subsidiary of the Denver Police Department, orchestrated by Armando Saldalte, the executive director of Denver's Department of Safety, where he's given them a badge and a uniform, but not a gun, but the ability to enforce certain ordinances that would apply to homelessness, but no one else, including parking issues and, other ordinance issues that would only apply to homelessness. That's where Phil fits in. Phil gets chased all over, up and down South Broadway, outside of downtown Denver, by the SET team and District 3 cops, who, for the most part, just tell Phil, you know what, Phil, you better move along right now or I'm going to take you to jail. So Phil gets up and walks away from all his stuff, and then the city comes and throws it all away. So I have had Phil in motel situations, long-term motel situations now for the third time. Denver's Department of Housing Stability has met with Phil and has been unable every single time to follow through with connecting Phil with the resources that Phil needs to get off the streets. So Phil came up in the housing system for a voucher that I had connected him with through the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless with a very good caseworker 2 years ago, this coming December. So it's been a year and a half that we started a whole new process for Phil. Well, Phil came up a few weeks ago for this housing. Well, when we applied for the housing, he didn't have to have all of these documents because he was already in the HMIS system, which tracks homelessness, which tracks their identity. The government says this is how we're going to do this, and then we're going to get these people right into housing. Well, guess what? All of that's since changed for American citizens, where the immigrants have come and they don't have to prove anything and they get shelter. But now Phil has come up for a permanent housing situation and he has no documents. Go figure. So Phil's birth certificate was ordered from out of state. So in the meantime, I put Phil in a motel. I have asked the city, please put him in one of your temporary shelters while we, the other caseworkers, me and the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, separate from the city of Denver, having to do a damn thing for Phil except put him in a room so we know where he's at, so the cops don't continue to chase him. You have the space. We have the micro community right here behind me, where we advocates were given 2 referrals from the mayor's office. It was called placating the advocates because we're sick of these people. So let's give them 2 spots where they can go out and hand select people that they've built relationships with for years. And we'll make them pick just 2 people. So I've got a list of about a dozen vulnerable people that I get to pick from. So I get to come out here and tell my women, look, you're the most vulnerable. You can go, but guess what, guys? I'm not going to pick you. So you can hate me for that because the city put me in this situation instead of the city doing their job and coming out here and making a prioritization vulnerability list. They put that on us advocates and told us that they were doing us a favor. I am very, very mad today. I am very, very upset with the fact that I get to go over to this motel and tell Phil, there is no more money to keep you here while we figure out what is going on with why we can't get your birth certificate from this other state that you're born in here in the United States of America. Phil has had a Colorado ID for years. We can't get that because the fingerprint system no longer works for certain people. So we can't get Phil's ID so the new apartment place can run a background check to make sure that Phil's not a murderer. So I've asked the city to help me, and this was their response. After a series of questions that Cole Chandler asked me. Now, remember, Cole's title is Advisor for Homelessness Resolution, and this is for the Johnston administration, okay? His response is, thanks, Regan. As you know, this is not the way that we accept referrals. I was personally working to assist you with this, but it doesn't seem like I will be able to assist in this particular individual case. However, we remain committed to our efforts, which have brought more than 1,500 people indoors and more than 500 people into permanent housing from street homelessness in 10 months. Except he forgot the last paragraph. Except Phil. He's an old guy, so he can go out on the streets and die, because we don't work on individual cases. We work in mass encampments that the police have set up for us so we can go out and handpick people and put them into confined spaces where we have problems with violence, drug overdoses, and a variety of other police-related problems. Even though Phil has no addiction issues, we have no interest in Phil because he probably requires mental health help, and we sure as hell are not going to give him that. So pound sand, Regan, and know that this is not how you make referrals. Really? Let's see. I never got the email that told us advocates exactly how we make referrals. So can someone ask Cole Chandler what exactly the referral process is for a man about to be 66 years old who is going to die out here on the street? Can somebody do that for me, please? And his email, which is a public email address supported by taxpayers, is Cole, C-O-L-E dot Chandler, C-H-A-N-D-L-E-R, Cole.Chandler at denvergov.org. Ask Cole. Don't just ask him. Demand that they do their damn job. And in the meantime, if you'd also like to write Flor Alvarez, she is the city council person for this district, which is Denver District 7. And I think those links are going to get posted. Flor worked overtime with the neighborhood behind me to cut the micro community in half because the neighborhood didn't like homeless people. I mean, is there anybody left in the world that actually think homeless people are humans and have some dignity and aren't all lumped into one category of worthless drug addicts? Is there anybody left in the world that thinks some people should have some dignity and a hand up? Because guess what? Those two referrals I've made, those of you that know those referrals, Joey being one of them, guess what? She's already got a voucher, and she's going to be moving out of the micro community where there are still empty units, where I could put Phil in the car right now, take him over there. He can stay there temporarily because he's already got a housing voucher that I made sure happened through Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. But instead, it makes more sense to throw this guy back out on the street because Cole Chandler has decided this is not how we make referrals. So about Flor Alvarez, she worked very, very hard to provide the neighbors with a good neighbor agreement that they all agreed to, which cut the micro community in half until they proved themselves, until the service provider proved themselves that they could manage the site. She is the one that also has a discretionary budget. Could you perhaps ask Flor Alvarez if she could come over here to this motel on South Broadway and use her discretionary taxpayer-supported discretionary spending that she's already been under investigation for spending money, giving it to her family. You know the story. It just never ends. Perhaps ask Flor if she can get Phil into the micro community. So this is what it's like if you go out and you try to help. The government is going to do everything they can to shut you down and tell you no and placate you because they don't want bad press. They want all the good press. They want you to think that they're doing all of these wonderful things when they're really not. They throw out the numbers. Nobody can really confirm the numbers, but we can confirm the amount of contact the police are having with the unhoused community. We can confirm that. Let's take a ride. We're going to go, we're going to pay for another week of motel. And we're going to talk to Phil for a minute so you can see and hear from Phil. I haven't touched base with him since Saturday. I was going to go check his mail again to see if his birth certificate had arrived. So I'm going to leave you here in the car for just a minute. If my mods could please right now just have this conversation in the chat that these things need to happen for Phil and why this is happening, and all the things you remember about what we've been through with Phil, Dawn, and Jesse, where we housed them for 3 months in motel over Christmas when they all would have died out on the streets in the temperature, and then Dawn and Phil ended up passing away. I'm sorry, Dawn and Jesse. I am not putting Phil back out here on the streets to die. I'm not doing it. Okay, here comes Phil. He's going to have a chat with us for just a minute. He's taking his trash to the dumpster. And no birth certificate. Good morning, Philip. How are you?
All right.
Hi.
Nice.
So we're talking in this live stream about how many times we've been through this, right?
Yeah.
And if you come back out here, what it's going to look like.
Here where?
Back out on the street.
Oh. Yeah, it's getting worse.
It's getting worse in violence,
Both.
cop aggression,
And I can't understand this one. How can the city, they bring out their needles and uh, for the people,
Mm-hmm.
and they get arrested for it? How the hell can they do that?
So you're talking about safe injection?
Yeah, and the cops come and arrest them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, isn't that?
Who'd that happen to?
Uh, I think it's that one over here. I think. Because that's double jeopardy. And
There are a lot of bad things going on.
yes, there is.
And a lot of it is stemming from these groups that have been created that are all over Twitter now, encouraging people to come out here and harass you. And
Oh, they did that when they dumped garbage. I mean, took them over. And the college students did that.
guess what happened yesterday? I don't know if you heard this story.
Uh-oh.
Up on 48th in Colorado, there was an RV over there. Somebody living homeless in the RV. And the cops supposedly, allegedly, are chasing two guys on foot that have stolen a motorcycle. And one of them takes off, and the other one runs in the RV.
What the
Yep, goes inside this RV, and the cops start firing on the RV. So the first story that the police told was that the guy pointed a gun at him. Then the next story that was told was the person who owned the RV was inside of it, had no idea what was going on. Some dude runs in his RV, runs to the back of the RV, kicks out the window, jumps out the window, and the cops open fire on him with a rifle. With a rifle. It is so dangerous out here. And there are so many trigger-happy cops. And all they do is chase you up and down Broadway.
Yeah, and words, yeah. Yeah.
So, Phil, I'm going to pay for another week. Susan emailed me. She has no idea what's going on with your birth certificate.
Somebody had to steal something.
If somebody stole it, it happened at St. Francis. And I just... I don't know.
I don't know why you can't fucking figure that out. Because I asked him, did somebody take it, steal it?
I got your voicemail. Just trying to give you a call back. I'm actually going to send an email out. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right, so Susan... Let's see what she says.
And there's a lot of E's in here.
Huh?
A lot of strange motherfuckers in there.
Strange fuckers in here.
Touch themselves, bounce off the wall.
Let me just call her back. Hey, Susan, it's Regan. Hey, I'm with Phil right now. Okay. They have it. Ugh. So paying for expedited services
Mm-hmm.
confirms they have it. Yeah, I know you did. Oh, for crying out loud. Do we have? Should I have him call right now? Yeah. Yep. He's with me right now. I'll have him do that. Okay. Okay. Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Do we have a name? Oh, right. Right. Yep. Yep. I gotcha. I gotcha. Do we have a name for? No, for whoever you talk to here at this number. Okay. All right. I'll have him call right now and see what they say, and I'll let you know. Uh, oh, you did the Social Security card as well? Okay. So, do you have any connect? If I were to take him to the mobile DMV unit, some people have been having luck um, leaving with a paper ID. Phil's had IDs, but every time I try to take him, it's the fingerprint match. You need to come with your documents. So do we have an in somewhere there? Because it sounds to me like that's all the apartment needs is his ID. At least that's what she's communicated. Okay. Okay. Well, he doesn't have a license. Now he's had IDs. Yeah, with their, also with the number. I don't, yeah. But I feel like if the mobile DMV unit isn't back in Denver until like the end of the month over at the AIDS Center. It was like in Boulder and down in Pueblo, and I just St. Francis on the 18th. Okay.
Is this one?
Of June. Okay. Yeah, answering the phone, St. Francis. Do you know what they did to us? Did you see that email? So I take Phil down there. He had been down there on a Saturday, and they told him that he couldn't get his mail because he was outside of the time frame to get his mail for the day. So he goes the next time, and they tell him it's not there. So I take him the next time. We're there at 2:20, and this girl at the front desk goes, well, you can only check your mail till 2. I said, how many different stories do you guys tell these people? I try to call you. You don't answer your phones. You've got nothing on your website. I said, I'm outside case management. I said, can a manager please just double check and make sure it's not here? And she said, if I have to go check his mail, he's going to be suspended from the facility for a week. I said, are you for real right now? What has happened to that place? They've got a new executive director. Called one of their other managers that he's no longer with St. Francis. And if you need to reach somebody, call the other woman that I left a voicemail for, who's the executive director. Nobody calls back. Yeah, I'm not even confident that their mail is being handled properly. Are you? Can we get that sent to Coalition, or are they going to freak out? Right. You think that's going to delay it? Right. Mm-hmm. What's that exact address, Susan? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we don't have any bridge for him, right? I asked the city. I, I, I cannot even believe Culture literally told me to fly a kite over him. I have to literally come here today and tell Phil to come back out here on the street when Host has been actively involved with him. I'm pissed. Well, they're doing their own thing. They're doing what looks good to everybody in their own messaging. They're not focused on, making any prioritization list for a 66-year-old man. We're going to go out and, you know, sorry about that. That was my fault. We're going to go out and, tell everybody to go form an encampment, and then we're going to have the cops chase them around for months. Phil doesn't go to encampments. That's the only way Phil can get housing, is to go set up in an encampment. We've been having meetings with the homeless resolution team, and Mike Johnston's sitting there going, oh yeah, we're going to work with you, blah, blah, blah. They give us advocates 2 spots as a pilot program. Us advocates that build relationships with people out here that know our people, that can make good referrals, we got 2 slots. So I got to come out here and pick between all my women and Phil and everybody else. So everybody's pissed off at me, right? Because I didn't get them into the micro community. It just, it is like a deliberate attempt to discredit and just own the message. I don't know. Yep. The safety factor. Oh my Lord. It's dangerous. It is super dangerous at that motel. So I don't know. Please. Yes. Yes. But he's got the voucher. Why wouldn't he would be he would be the one that they'd want, just because he's not leased up, right? Yeah. So Motel 6 on Arapahoe. Do you have to pick? Well, if you do, yeah, yeah. Yep, yep, yeah. All right, Susan. Thank you. I hope you had a nice vacation. Oh, it's emotionally, it's just, that's the piece of it for me. I just, I mean, we all have to make our disconnects at certain points, but I've had these guys for years. And, I had housed him and two others, and the two others passed away. I'm not putting Phil back out here. I'm not doing this. I can't go through this again.
Yeah, it was hard. I actually just got rid of Justice for
Yeah,
because it was too difficult for me to
I just can't.
I know.
Please help us.
I'm trying. Let me see what I can do with Bridge.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
I'll talk to you
You're
soon.
welcome.
All right.
Let me know what happens with the state of Minnesota.
Okay, I will.
Because they have the request.
Okay, that's good. All right.
They have it.
I'm gonna.
They freaking have it.
Yeah. So could you send it now, please?
I know.
I'll call you. I'll let you know. I'll send you an email or call you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, Susan. All right,
Hmm.
Phil.
What's her idea? Why didn't they call?
So she called the state of Minnesota. They have the expedited request, but they wouldn't give her any more information because it wasn't you. So now I need you to call Minnesota and find out why we're going into the 4th week now, and they paid for expedited service and you still don't have it. So we're going to do that now. So I'm going to end this stream. I want to thank you guys for being in here, but I am going to have to do some fundraising for this particular situation because I'm not sending Phil back out here. He's got a housing voucher, and the city's going to do nothing to ensure that Phil's can transition from the street. You have no idea what it's like to transition off the street, even into a motel room. Right, Phil?
Oh yeah.
It's very, very difficult, let alone transition off the street into housing. So he's already been to the apartment building. You like it, right?
Yeah. Already did.
You went and did the little tour of it, and it'll be new and different for Phil. And mind you, this is like $2,000 that we could have put towards furnishing or helping him move into this new apartment building. But I have a very strong feeling that it's not going to be a good outcome for you to come back out here because you're going to be targeted, Phil. And so we're going to work to keep you in here. And you have to just continue to work with us, right? As you always do. Phil's one of the easiest going guys ever. He just goes with the flow, don't you? Yeah. Doesn't hurt a soul. Thank you, Bokomo. Thank you, Mots. Appreciate much. See you next time.